Thanks for tuning in to horse racing coverage on Proline TV. Excuse me. It must be a Thursday, and we're getting closer and closer to the Kentucky Derby. We have another Kentucky Derby prep race for you, the Tampa Bay Derby, including two other races on that card that we're going to handicap, or at least we're going to have one other race that we're going to handicap. I'll have a bonus after John exits the show later, which will be race number 9. But we still have a lot to go before we get to that. How's it going, John?
Good, Greg. How are you?
Can you hear me okay, John? Good.
Loud and clear.
A little bit of a delay there, but that's over with. Okay, excellent. So we have some, not exactly the best races that we've seen lately, but still, racing's racing. They do have Derby points, 50 for the Tampa Bay Derby winner. We're going to get into that in just a little bit. So let's first of all take a look at how things shook down last week. And we're going to start with, I'll tell you what, let's start with the Gotham. And that was the Chad Brown 17-1 shot. Let's go ahead and line this one up.
No, that was Brad.
Oh, that's a different one.
Brad Cox.
Is that the same?
Brad Cox was the trainer. It was first.
Oh, that was Brad Cox. Okay. So Brad Cox surprised everybody. Big surprise, right? Brad Cox at 17-1. Shouldn't that be like one of those deals where whenever you see like one of those great trainers getting odds like that you should just instantaneously just put a couple bucks down on them?
Yeah. Especially if you like the horse that ran second, you should have hit the exacta, but I didn't. So that's, what could I tell you? It was an oversight. It was first time for Cox. Problem is, I think he only had him a short period of time. I don't know. He just popped up. I could guarantee you, whoever was in the Gotham is not winning the Derby. So.
Yeah, that really wasn't the best field, no question. Here's how things unfolded here. You've got Flood Zone there with the lead on the outside. And yeah, it wasn't very eventful.
Van Devil is the horse inside. That was the Linda Rice horse that we actually liked.
Yeah, that was our pick. Yeah.
The other horse just kept going. Problem with this race is it was around one turn. So what you really learn from the race, at this time of the year, you want to see who's getting the 2 turns. That's what really makes a difference. So.
And of course, Brad Cox not only was the winning trainer, but it was the first time that he was training the horse. Exactly. And the odds went from 12-1 to 17-1 with Brad Cox training. And when I said when I made that tip, if you want to call it, and I really mean that, is that like as long as I have money in my account, like extra money, and I'm not like short, I'll do that anytime. Obviously, we have to wait until we see the odds for post time.
First of all, you can wait 6 more months so you'll see a Brad Cox horse in a stake race go off 17-1.
Yeah.
You may have to wait a year or so.
But when it happens, and I'm talking about all the other top trainers as well, I mean, just do it, man. I mean, again, just throw a couple of bucks on them because you don't want them to sting you. And then you go, how the hell did I not put $2 on them at 20-1 with Brad Cox or Chad Brown on training this horse? Okay, so that was the Gotham. Now we go to the race. This is the one that you hit, the Fountain of Youth, John. So this was the 2 Sovereignty.
First start as a 3-year-old. He had 3 races as a 2-year-old for Mott. They all were good. He had a perfect line. If you recall, we discussed it last week. He had 3 races. He never went backwards. He improved in each and every one of them. So
yeah, he was 14, 13, and 11. And so I'm not sure what he had with the win here, but we can
see if it's up. Hold on.
But we can see Sovereignty actually here in the picture on the outside, and he is going to take it over here. Actually, that's not Sovereignty, is it? Sovereignty came from behind.
Yes, he had. Yeah. He's the 2 horse. There he comes.
Yeah, this was, and it did look like River Thames was going to win there for a bit. But
he got, it was his first time around 2 turns. It was his 3rd lifetime start. He ran very well in defeat.
Yeah, Burnham Square had nothing, so I was disappointed by that. But yeah, right here, it looks like, you've got one of the favorites. He's got the lead. I mean, he's a good horse. So you're figuring it's over.
Okay, so he ran a set. I'm sorry, excuse me. I
go
didn't mean
ahead.
to interrupt you. He ran a 7. A 7.
Okay. So that
Now
means he has now
another
gone from
forward
14,
move.
13, 11, 7.
Correct. The big number of the week was Locked in the Santa Anita handicap. He ran a 3 for Pletcher.
Who was that? Which horse?
Locked. He's an older horse.
Okay, that's right. He ran. That was last week. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And what? How old is Locked?
He's 4.
Okay, so we're going to see him a lot this year in big races, right?
Right.
And then here comes the final one of the day. And this is, of course, this is Barnes. I finally get the chance to see Barnes, and he lays an egg. So,
well, he
Barnes,
didn't lay an egg. It was his first time around 2 turns, also his 3rd lifetime start. But he, I have to tell you, stock dropped in him for sure because he had no excuse. He just stopped. He got beat on the square by Journalism, who, by the way, also is another horse that's getting better with each start. Let me tell you what he ran. Hold on.
Yeah, Journalism came into the race 14, 10, and
Wow.
9.
He ran a 5.
Wow. So 14, 10, 9, 5 for Journalism. And right there, because when it's right here, you're still thinking, okay, well, this is Barnes. And you're still thinking, it's over. Because Barnes is
Spafford, he's going to kick in and re-break.
Yeah. And he didn't kick in.
Nope.
And Sovereignty gets it done. I mean, Journalism gets it done. And when we talked about this race, and of course, it's not a great handicapping race. You only had whatever horses in the field that could realistically win.
5 horses and 2 Baffords, I believe. 2 of them were Baffords, I believe. But go ahead.
Yes. So this is why we thought, well, this isn't going to be 3 horses were trained by Baffert. And we thought, okay, we'll forget it. But you did mention, of course, if there was a horse that, Journalism was the one to go with. What did his odds go off at? Do you remember?
I think he was 5-2.
Okay. So again, not bad for a really good horse, especially with Barnes in there. Now the big question comes, what happens to all these horses that we saw this past weekend? When do we see them again? I guess we're going to see them, the first, with the last week of the month?
Well, it depends on points. Sovereignty, I would think, has enough points now just to sit and wait for the Derby. The question is, do you want to run the horse before the Derby? I don't know. Every train is different and has their own way of going. The problem is that Baffert's going to have a few horses that need points. I'm sure Cox is going to have a horse that needs points. Those horses are going to be in the Florida Derby. I think, isn't that like 100 points, the next one coming up?
Correct. The next, once we get past this set.
Week. Yeah.
Matter of fact, taking a look at, let's see, taking a look at how it's going to go. We've got until, I think it is going to be the last, it's the last weekend last Saturday of March.
Right, because that'll give you 5 weeks into the Derby. So
we got the Florida Derby, Arkansas Derby, all in the same day.
Oh, they're all going on the same day? It's going to be crazy.
Well, Arkansas Derby, Florida Derby on the 29th. But then on April 5th, we've got Wood, Bluegrass, and Santa Anita Derby.
Well, that'll be your last chance, probably. I mean, they have like the Jeff Ruby Stakes, which is on synthetic at Turfway Park, and that's because Churchill owns Turfway Park, so they give them 100-pointer. It's on Tapeta, so I don't know.
Yeah, so you can see here are the points of some of these top. Let's go down here to see if we see anybody that has to, like Rodriguez. He's got 21 points. We know he's still a good horse, Rodriguez. He can still kick it in.
Yeah, but he's number 15. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
5 horses are going to pass him. Just remember.
So he's got work to do.
Yeah.
Captain Cook,
work to do, I guess.
John Hancock. There's Barnes.
Yeah, where is Barnes? What's he going to do? He's in big trouble.
Wow. And he is right now, if I'm looking at my sports book.
He was the favorite. He was the favorite in the pre-whatever.
Yeah, now he's 14-1. Now he's I guess in my sports book, he's the 4th choice.
Yeah, well, the field will be the favorite. The horses that are all bunched together.
There's another Baffert horse gaming on the outside. Jonathan's Way, of course. Owen Almighty is racing this week. We're going to talk about him. That's right. Ferocious is injured. Chancer McPatrick needs a big day. We'll talk about him in a little bit. So there you go.
They're in the same race.
And Cyclone State.
Yeah, that was a brilliant move. I guess they ruined him.
I guess we'll see where he enters him. He's got one more chance.
He's not running in the Derby. You could take it to the bank.
Oh, okay.
It's just my opinion. I don't know anything. I'm just.
Well, I hope he did. Yeah, let's hope whatever happens isn't going to affect the horse. But
it didn't
usually
look good.
Does.
Yeah.
But what do I know? Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this week. Let me make sure as we do that. I just want to check our latest comments and so forth, that I didn't miss anything.
What are we doing first? Race 10, right? I guess.
Correct.
Okay.
And I know what I wanted to do at the beginning of the show. I forgot because I said this last week. Subscribe to the channel. I don't want to wait until the end of the show anymore. So subscribe. We really appreciate all the traffic we get here. It's a very popular show on the channel. It's a new channel. And so we really appreciate that. So yeah, but we really need you guys. If you want to support us, please subscribe. It's a pretty easy process. If you're having any problems figuring out how to subscribe, just let us know and we'll walk you through it. So yeah, subscribe. And that's the best way to support us.
Where do you hit subscribe? I don't even see subscribe here. Show me.
Well, I could pop it up. Let me go ahead and get to our website. Our channel. There it is, Proline, and I'll pop it up.
So if I subscribed on YouTube, I have to subscribe again here?
No, if you've already subscribed on YouTube, well, you can only get it through YouTube.
Oh, so I subscribed on YouTube. So
yeah. This is the place here where it's already subscribed. So it's in but if I go, bottom line, this is where you gotta hit it. So hit it there. If you go to one of our shows, then they're also going to have it right down here. So once you're watching the video, all you're going to do is look here. You'll see and it'll be in white and it'll say subscribe. All you got to do is click it and then it'll turn from white to black. And that means you are a subscriber. And that's it. And again, it doesn't cost you anything. There's no strings attached. We're not going to email you and bug you the hell out of you.
List. You don't sell the list to anyone or anything.
Nothing. All you do is subscribe and that's it. And I know you might say, well, I only use YouTube just to watch the show. What do I need to subscribe for? But like I said, it helps us. And that's important. If you want to
still keep getting the show, I recommend you subscribe.
Exactly. Because we can't keep doing it. In the long term, we can't keep doing it for free. We went down that road before. We don't want to go back down that road of charging people and so forth and so on. So the best way to keep it free for everybody is to keep our traffic going up and for people to subscribe. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the card here. And again, just double check. You remember you were talking about Straight No Chaser?
Yeah.
Well, you said was the comment in there or something, and I couldn't find it. Well, Jeff Hockman, he was the one that brought it up. Yeah. And I
was just giving him a shout out. Congratulations. How great the horse ran.
Yeah. So I did find it and he talked about it. I forget I think he talked about it the week before the Saudi Cup that week.
Yes.
Yeah. And did we also talk? I don't think we did this. Betsy Hobby Wicker. I agree with John. I don't like that they don't have different colored saddled clothes. And why have different numbers than the post positions?
Saddle cloths, yeah.
And that, of course, is what we were talking about with the Saudi.
Now it's so hard to watch the races from there because unless you're up close, you have no idea where your horse is.
Yep. United States definitely better than organizing races, except for having so many claiming races. I wish they had more races that weren't claiming and lower level, so there were more options for trainers. And I do know that there was another comment from someone else that said something along the lines of about how important claiming races are.
Claiming horses are the backbone of the game. Without claiming horses, they might as well close racetracks because like you see all these stake races have 5 and 6 horses in them. So obviously, the stake horses they're having problems filling races. If you could only get 5 or 6 horses to run for $500,000, obviously there's a shortage on those kind of horses. So the claiming horses vary in price. They could be 5,000 claimers up to 100,000 claimers. So it gives people more options.
Yeah. So just because you're in a claiming race doesn't mean that you're not a good horse.
What does that mean? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I remember like way back when I was younger. I think it was, I forget what it was. Oh, we were doing it for trotters, and I remember my dad going over the stuff with me and going the difference between the purses and the claiming, and me asking what the hell was that, and him just talking about it in that way. I don't know if it's different in trotting.
It is. Well, it's not that much different, but they also have claimers. But they have where you go in A, B, C. When I used to go to the trotters, my dad owned trotters many years ago in the 70s and 80s. But that's what it was. They'd have free. It would be called free for all. A horses were the best horses, but all that's for another time.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so here we go. Race 9. We're going to do that later. So we're going to start with race number 10 at Tampa. And this is actually going to be the 3-year-old race. So it's the kind of a equivalent to.
It's a 3-year-old filly race, but there's a key here. There are no points here.
Oh,
and the reason being is it's a turf race. So,
yeah.
What's a turf race going to do you on the main track?
That's true. This is a 1.16 miles, and it's the Florida Oaks, a Grade 3 race that should air about 5:05-ish on Saturday. So the morning line favorite is the 9, and get this out of the way. And that is Nitrogen, a 5-2 shot. Mark Cassie is the trainer. The other 2 horses that aren't bad, not too far away. The 7 horse is a 3-1 shot. That's a Chad Brown horse. Opulent Restraint. Yep. And the number 6 horse is a 4-1 shot. Lush Lips, a Brendan Walsh trained horse. So let's start at the top. And the first 3 horses here, John, you got a 15-1, a 10-1, and a 15-1. And for the most part, they look pretty slow. But the 2 is the interesting one for me for obvious reasons. You got Chad Brown training. And the first time he comes to America, he races at Tampa. He runs a 16. So as you got a rider who's having a really good meet. You got Chad Brown. You're getting a pretty good price.
Yeah, but Chad Brown has another horse in the race that Flavian Pratt's riding. So I would assume that the one that Pratt's on is a lot better.
Yeah, I'm just talking for long shot's sake. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a Chad Brown horse. Listen, he's hitting at 33% there. The horse got bet down his first time in the country at Tampa, but he just broke his maiden. She just broke her maiden, I should say. So this is a big step up in company. You're going from maidens into a stake race, a Grade 3 stake race. Not an easy thing to do, but if anyone could do it, it would be Chad Brown. But believe it or not, as great as his stats are, this is not one of his better stats.
What's that?
When he steps up from a maiden race into a stake race, he's got low, very poor numbers for him.
Okay. Well, that's very good to know. The horse is a closer, so he'll need a fast pace. Let's now go to you got another long shot, or another 2 long shots that don't look like they have much of a chance. The 5 did run a 16 in her first race, which is not the worst thing in the world, but she's only raced once.
Yeah, okay. And by the way, the 5 that is owned by Bregman, the baseball player.
Oh, the Houston Astro player. Okay.
Not anymore. I think he's on the
Boston. Yeah, he's with Boston. Yeah.
And it's funny because Walker Buehler from the Dodgers also signed with the Red Sox, and they own a horse together that Baffert trains for them that actually is very fast. He ran 2 6s. Oh. So they own a nice horse. Anyway, they probably paid a lot of money for this horse because Bregman has been paying a lot of money for the horses that he's a pretty good owner. I got to tell you, he's sinking money into the game, and he's had success.
Good for him.
That being said, the horse ran once, a 16. You obviously could improve in career start number 2. I'm just saying. I'm not that I like the horse, but, one number horses I do not dismiss quickly.
Yeah. So out of those first 5 long shots,
The 5,
the
I would use the 5. If I was looking for one of those, Love You Anyway would be the horse that I would be
yeah,
looking at.
the 2 and the 5 are coming off 16s, but the 5 is a 30 to 1 shot, and the 2 is a 10 to 1 shot. So
Right, and the 2 is Chad Brown, so you know he'll take money just automatically because it's Chad Brown. But
yep.
that being said, if I had to pick between the 2 of them, I'll take the George Arnold horse because not only that, but he very rarely squeezes horses first out. And not only that, they think enough of running a maiden. This horse is a maiden. She's going career start number 2. She didn't win first out, right up in the Florida Oak. So they must think something of the horse.
Okay, well, we'll keep that in mind for sure. I like long shots, so why not? Now we start getting into some of the top horses here, including Lush Lips. This is the 6 horse, the 4 to 1 shot. You got Brendan Walsh, who has 2 horses in the field. Gaffalione on board, back-to-back wins under Brendan Walsh's tutelage. He ran a 15 on synthetic and then a 14 on turf. So this is the first time that he's been, second time actually, that he'll be on turf with Brendan Walsh coming off of 14.
Well, the 14, he received Lasix for the first time in that race. I'm just pointing it out. He's coming off of Lasix. She's coming off of Lasix on Saturday. The 29 she ran first out was at Kentucky Downs, and you know that track. It's up and down hills. Not everybody likes it. So I don't know what she's going to do, but she did run the 14 last time out on the grass for Brendan Walsh. Tyler Gaffalione rode last time for the first time. That's Walsh's main rider. Blinkers come off. I don't understand that move. The horse won 2 races in a row with blinkers. Why you taking blinkers off? But that's what they're doing. 4 to 1. She's okay. You could use her.
Okay. Next is the 7, Opulent Restraint. And you have Chad Brown and you have Flavian Pratt. That's as good as a combo as you're going to get. Back-to-back wins. This horse wants to stalk. And she's done nothing wrong, even though the numbers are a little slower. And she's been racing at distance all 3 of her career races at mile and a 16th, 22, 20, and then 16. So once again, you've got the 16. It's very interesting. We talked about the 2 16s on a 10 to 1 and a 30 to 1 shot. And here you have a 16 on a 3 to 1 shot.
Yeah, but the difference is this 16 was run back in October. So, when you run them early, you're allowed to improve, and this horse can run at 12 easily off of this line. She's never done anything wrong. 2 weeks ago, Chad Brown and Flavian Pratt shipped to Tampa, if you remember, and I believe he won 4 races for Chad Brown that day. So keep that in mind.
Okay, but again, let's remember this is a 3 to 1 shot. So
yeah.
We'll see. Next up is another long shot, Smudge. You get Cassie, one of 2 in the field with Dylan Davis. So that's a good combo. We've got an 18 to 16 on synthetic. And the only time she was on the turf in December, she ran an 18.
Yeah, I think you have better options. Even though the horse has never done anything wrong, I still think you have better options.
Here's the morning line favorite. It is the 9. It is Nitrogen, Cassie's second horse in the field. Jose Ortiz on board. She's been on board the last 2, including a win last time out at Gulfstream running a 14. What you like is those first 3 races, 20, 14, 12. So doing a really good job. Then she just, a couple of months off, comes back with a 14. So she wins the race, though. She closes, wins the race. So what do you think about going from the 12 to the 14? There wasn't any reason for her to do that, right?
Well, she obviously wasn't squeezed or anything. She ran the race and she won. Listen, She ran the Breeders' Cup turf, Breeders' Cup juvenile turf, 2 starts back. She finished 3rd. And she had a tough trip that day. This horse is going to be very tough to beat. The 12 as a 2-year-old sticks out. The 14 as a 2-year-old sticks out. I don't like playing favorites, but sometimes you got to take what they give you. And I think this horse is going to be very tough in here.
All right. And then you've got the 10, Pretty Lavish. And you have Graham Motion, who's having a good meet. Red Ortiz Jr., we know how good he is. The good thing is, you're getting a 6 to 1. The horse is 1 for 1 at Tampa, 15, and the only race at Tampa. So a little bit better than those 16s, but the number's all the way down to 6 to 1, and we're at the 10 post.
Exactly. Well, drawn. Not that the 9 post, the horse that I like inside of her, is any better, but the 9 is better than the 10. But if you're just looking at raw numbers, this horse only ran a 15, and she's going to be shorter than 6-1. She went off 2-1 last time out. Ortiz is riding, so you know she's going to take money. But honestly, why is she better than a horse like the 5, who's 30-1 and ran a 16 first out? She's not. So I'm not in a rush to use this horse. She could win. Listen, she's 2 for 2, and Eclipse Thoroughbreds had a hell of a weekend last weekend, winning with those 2 horses in California, Locked and the horse that beat Barnes. Journalism?
Yep.
Yeah. So they're both owned by Eclipse Thoroughbred. So, they had a great weekend last weekend. Maybe they'll keep it going. They have nothing but nice horses, but there's just no value in using this horse at a short price.
Okay, and then the 11 and 12 are both at 12-1. One of those is Brendan Walsh trained. The other is Michael Maker trained. Rosario is on board Mayavana. That's the 12 horse. Now, the good thing about the horse is that he has improved in all 4 of his races, but he's a little bit slow. The 17 was the last one. He went wire to wire in that one. Now he's way outside at the 12 at the position 12. So out of those 2 horses, especially since the 11 hasn't even won yet, it would look like, if you're just choosing and you want to get some long shots in, my Havana probably is up there with some of those other long shots we talked about.
Yeah, but those other long shots are drawn inside. The 1 has a 17, he's 15-1. The 2 has a 16, she's 10-1. The 5 horse is 30-1 off the same 16. You see, I'm using the favorite, but I'm putting bombs for the most part underneath.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you've got the 9.
Correct.
Okay.
Now I got to find hookups. I'm going to use.
Yeah. Well, again, there's a lot of nice long shots to choose from.
Yeah, I'm going to use the 5 for sure. Love You Anyway. I might as well throw in the 2, the Chad Brown horse, who's 10-1, and let's use. I got to use the 7 because that's Brown and Pratt. So 9 with 2, 5, 7 is the way I'm going.
9 with 2, 5, and 7. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take Lush Lips, the 6. So I'm going to go Lush Lips. And so I'll go 2, 5 as well. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put the 12 in there. All right. So 6 over 2, 5, and 12. John's got 9 over 5, 2, and 7.
5 and 7, correct.
Nitrogen. And that is the Florida Oaks. Okay. Now we get to the big race of the weekend. And this is a big deal for Tampa Downs. How often do they get the big race of the weekend? Once a year.
I hope they do better than they did last year. If you remember last year, they had a tote problem and had to cancel the last 3 races.
That was that one. Okay. Oh, that wasn't good.
People were not happy.
That was not good.
No.
All right. So I could just imagine. I'm glad I wasn't a part of that with money. So that would have freaked me out. All right, so here we've got the Tampa Bay Derby, a mile and a 16th race, and the morning line favorite is the 7, and there's only 7 horses.
The morning line favorite is the 2, Chance of Fitzpatrick.
Oh, okay. Chance of McPatrick at 8-5, and then not too far behind is the 2-1 shot, Patch Adams. So you've got the 2 and the 7. The 3 is also not that far behind at 4-1 Hill Road, but it's basically the top 2, Chance of McPatrick and Patch Adams, who we've seen on the trail before. But it's only a 7-horse field. So let's start at the top with Owen Almighty. And this is Irad Ortiz Jr. on board. And if you take a look here, I remember we talked about this stretch duel between Jon Hancock and Owen Almighty. It was a really good race between the 2. Jon Hancock got the win. And now it happened to be a 9 for Owen Almighty. So he's coming in here with back-to-back races at Tampa. Both are 9s. One is at a mile and a 16th. And when you take a look at Chancer McPatrick, he also has 9s. Patch Adams does have a 7. So it's not that Owen Almighty is not that far behind.
Owen Almighty is very strong here. He's never done anything wrong in his life. 13s last year, 9s this year. The last 2 9s were at Tampa. And what's best about him is you're getting 5-1. I'm willing to take 5-1 on this horse all day long. And if you really get 5-1, that's more than fair. And this will be my top selection.
Yep. That probably be mine as well. So absolutely, Owen Almighty. Let's just hope we can get 5-1, and we'll see if he can get back. Matter of fact, I think as we were talking about Owen Almighty, as far as points, and that's why it was a really bummer for him to finish second. So he's right now in 25th place. So this is a really big race for Almighty.
How many points is he have?
15, I believe.
So he needs to run 1-2 here. Otherwise,
there you go. Yep, 15 points, 25th place. So it's a big one for Owen Almighty. Okay, next up is Chancellor McPatrick. Now, Chancellor McPatrick, just like we said with Owen Almighty, had back-to-back nines. So Chancellor McPatrick goes 15-9-9, wins 2 grade 1s with 2 9s, then comes into the race, the Breeders' Cup race, and it goes up in distance. Hadn't been up in a mile on a 16th before, and just didn't have anything. I mean, if you just looked at it, and it just wasn't.
He bounced off the 9s. This is clearly the best horse in the race. When you run 9s in September, like this horse did, and October, that's running 9s early. This horse is similar to the horse that won last week in Florida. The horse that won that race last week. I'm losing my mind.
Sovereignty.
Right. He had the same thing as a 2-year-old, 12, 11, whatever. This horse
also a closer.
Yes, but here's the difference. The problem with Chancellor McPatrick, and we said it on Breeders' Cup Day, that there was a question about him handling the 2-turn distance. You see the mile when he ran the 9 2 races back, that was around 1 turn at Aqueduct. Yep. That was in the Champagne. The 9 before that was 7 furlongs. Last time he ran the 13. He could have bounced off the 9s, but I think it's more of a 2 turns being the problem. But this is Tampa, so if you have problems getting 2 turns, you have a better shot of doing it at Tampa than in other places for some reason that I don't want to go into today. What I don't like is they're putting blinkers on. Listen, again, he could win. If it was 7 furlongs or a mile, he's clearly the best horse in the race because he ran those 9s much earlier than Owen Almighty did. But Owen Almighty already's been around 2 turns. Owen Almighty's 5 times the price of Chancellor McPatrick. So yes, even though I know Chancellor McPatrick is the better of the 2 horses, doesn't mean it's going to be Saturday around 2 turns. That's why I opted for Owen Almighty.
Yeah, and again, Chancellor McPatrick, he's won 2 races from really far behind. So he was 7th in one race just before the stretch, and 9th in his maiden win right off the gate. So obviously the pace could come into play here depending on how. I think we're only seeing. Well, there's a couple of horses that want the lead. I think Owen Almighty might be one of them. The other is Brodeur. Okay. So the 3 is Hill Road, a 4-1 shot. Chad Brown once again back-to-back here. Gaffleone is the rider. First race since November. Also ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, finishing 3rd in that race. And also the first time that Chad Brown is taken over. He ran a 13 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile race.
Okay. I mean, he ran once. He ran a 13. We know nothing about him. Yes, it was back then. It is obviously first time Chad Brown. So he has a license to improve. We get that part of it. He's an obvious horse. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just comparing the 2 and the 3, it's just like there's just no comparison. Just a 2 and a 3, because you haven't seen 9 yet from the 3.
Exactly. But you haven't seen Chad Brown training him either yet.
That is true. So that's the thing. But unlike last week when you were getting 17-1 with a Cox long shot, you're not getting
17-1 on this horse.
No.
That's not.
But that's the difference. Is that 4-1? No. You can go ahead and try to beat me.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But okay. Next up is Brodeur, and Brodeur, probably the horse that wants the lead. You've got Cassie, you've got Ortiz. You're getting 15-1, and I think this is a good long shot to play because this is one of 2 horses that come in with similar kind of models. You have the 25, then the 11. So he runs an 11 in his second race, wins the race, and then the next race, which obviously got a mile and a 16th, hadn't been that far before. He runs a 16, which was an inevitable bounce. Now you expect him to come right back. And by the way, he won that race, even though he bounced with a 16. So I got Cassie, I got Ortiz, I got 15-1. I've already had an 11. Maybe I can get a 9 in this one. And I think this horse is worth it, thrown into an exacta.
Well, all right. I mean, listen, he's coming off of Lasix. He's reverse buried because he won with a bad number, so you're going to lose some value. And Jose Ortiz aboard is not going to get you any extra prices either. The only the best shot that this horse has, if there's a rainstorm prior to the race and the track comes up sloppy. It's not my kind of horse. But listen, again, obviously, if he runs near that 11, he certainly has a chance.
And again, it is Tampa, so anything's possible. Do you know what the weather's like?
It's supposed to be nice.
Okay.
But again, it's Florida, like you said. At any time it could rain. The problem with him is those races were at Oakland for the most part. I don't know. Some horses like that track and run well there. But again,
it's 15-1, no. But that's
we never argue with 15-1 shots.
No, that's the whole idea.
Right.
You're looking for some long shots, and yeah. All right, the 5. Here we go. Mr. Chad Summers trained Filoso. Dylan Davis on board, 15-1, just like Brodeur. But unfortunately, this horse has only won 18 twice and 17 twice.
What I could tell you about him is that they loved him early, and they probably still love him. I don't know for a fact, but all they wanted to do was get this horse to run long, and he was supposed to get better. But off the sheets, he really didn't get any better. He ran 17, 18, 17. Considering you need an 8 or a 9 to win, I would think you're up against it.
Yeah, because he did have that win second race, but yep, nothing since then. All right, next up is the 6, Naughty Rascal. Another long shot to consider here for sure, because this horse is one of the few horses in the race that has a 9. Matter of fact, you look at this horse take the turf race out of there, and you've got 26, 2018. All right, nothing great, but at least going forward. Then all of a sudden, after the turf race, 11-9. So on dirt, the horse just keeps getting better. But unfortunately, after the 9, mile and a 16th, first time ever, maybe the bounce because of the 9 in January, new 2-point top, runs a 15, doesn't perform well, but you're getting 20-1. And why not put this horse in there to try to make some money?
Well, this one I like a lot better than your Brodeur idea.
Yeah, I agree.
4-horse. What's interesting about him is he has an 11 and a 9. Both of those races, by the way, were at Tampa. Yep. So that's good. Listen, the 15 last time out, you have to excuse. What do you think? They're going to keep moving forward? Did you expect a 7 last time out? They're not machines. They have to react. And he reacted. He's not the worst idea in the world. I have to tell you the truth.
And then next and last is one of the co-favorites, you could say, Patch Adams. This is the only horse that has a 7. Ran at in his second race. That was his maiden win. And then predictably bounced to, even though he had time off, he actually had a little bit of extra time off, but it was an 8-point top. And he was also going to distance for the first time. That was a 14. And he was a 4-5 favorite in that race. And he did nothing in that race. Even though he was second down the stretch, he had nothing. This was the race where Sandman fell.
Yeah, if you recall, this last time out was his first start over the Oakland layout. And I say it all the time, and whenever we do Oakland races, you either need to work over the track or race over the track. That being said, I honestly can't read the sheet. I don't know how to read it. The 7 was on a frozen track. The 14 was with trouble last time out. At 2-1, I would play against this horse.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's 2-1, and there's too many possibilities. So
well, you talked me into a horse, so I'm going to flip-flop. I'm going to throw out the 7 and put the 6 in under. I'm using the 1 over the 2, 3, and 6. Owen Almighty over Chance of McPatrick, Hill Road, and Naughty Rascal. 1 over 2, 3, 6.
2, 3, and 6.
Okay. Right, Patch Adams.
And I will do 1 over 2, 4, 6.
All right.
1 over 2, 4, 6.
We're rolling on Owen Almighty. Let's hope we're right.
That's it. All right, John. So next week, and by the way, you don't have to, even though you can say it, we were able to say it twice in one show, and we said it early in the show. So
Subscribe. Not what I was supposed to say.
Yeah.
Oh,
Next week, we have another Derby points race. This one is at Colonial Downs. It's the Grade 3 Virginia Derby. You also have the Whitmore at Oaklawn and a couple of Grade 3s at Santa Anita.
The Whitmore's a sprint, I think, isn't it? The Whitmore's a
The
sprint.
Whitmore?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
But
think
we've got a Derby points race next week. So,
no Derby point races.
yeah, it says Virginia Derby
Oh,
is a
the
Derby
Virginia
point race.
Derby. Okay.
Yeah. So we don't do Colonial Downs very often, but we'll see how that
Well,
looks next week.
They don't run very often. They're not open now. They run usually during the summer months.
Well, they're going to be open next week.
They probably have a weekend there or something. Who knows?
Oh, really? Is that how it works? Okay, that's interesting. Just for the Derby, then, right? Just to make sure they got a.
They have like a short meet. They have to run a certain amount of days to maintain their. I don't know what the rules are.
Okay.
Get a commissioner and get the rules.
And then things really start to heat up in 2 weeks with the Louisiana Derby and the Jeff Ruby Stakes, followed by the following week when you get the Florida Derby and the Arkansas Derby. So, John, appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Greg. Stay safe and be well, my friend. Talk to you next week.
Magic word.
Goodbye, everybody. Subscribe. See you.
Thank you. All right. So there you go. We are done with the expert in the expert part of the show. Now I'm just going to run off some key notes for race number 9 at Tampa Downs. This is bonus sheet numbers that I can provide you. And then I'll just let you know who I like if you care about that. So this is a 1 1/8 on turf, another turf race, the Hillsborough Stakes, a grade 2 race. Should go off about 4:30. So the good thing is you got 9, 10, 11. And so if you want to play any of your, obviously, if you want to play these races that we just did, then you've got this option starting with race number 9 in doubles. Now, you've got the morning line favorite, which is the 7, and that's Give Me Another. I should have asked John about this, actually, because it's very rare that we ever talk about a horse that has never lost before in 7 starts, but he's obviously coming from another country, because if he was 7 for 7 in the United States, we'd know about him. But Give Me Another, the 7 horse, has never raced in the States. And that's just, see, that I don't know what John's going to do. If you want to know what he's going to do, you check out his packages. But I don't think John's going to go with Give Me Another unless he knows something. Because if I know John, he does not like to go in blind. He's got no sheet numbers to work with, never raced in the U.S., and the number is low. So there's no value here when you don't have a sheet number to go on if you value the sheets the way that we do. So that's just it. I mean, but look, if you got some inside information, then so be it. But I'm basically no help here. Let's just put it that way. So let's just go to the other horses that are not that far behind odds-wise. And you've got the 6, and that is Spaladay. And then the 8, Saffron Moon. Interesting thing. Now, I don't know if Give Me Another's a closer, but the other 2 are. So you have several closers in this. I think you have another closer as well. I think there is. So I think you've got at least 3 closers in this race. And 2 of them, maybe 3 of them, but at least 2 of them are, pretty much at the top that are considered the co-favorites. So we'll see whether or not they get the trip they're looking for, because I'm looking around here and I'm not seeing a lot of horses that want the lead. So maybe Give Me Another does. Looks like the 10 does. So maybe the 10 is going to go out there. So if you don't get anybody of significance that's going to maybe blister the pace, then the closers might be vulnerable a little bit. But hey, they're all in the same boat. Okay. So I think the 8 is the way to go. Saffron Moon. He's a 9-5 shot. And you got Chad Brown and Pratt. So hell of a combo. All right. If you can get 9-5. But what we're dealing with here is the horses won both races at Tampa, so that's big. And the 2 sheet numbers that are, let's see, at Tampa are 12 and 11. Now, he ran, he's got a 9, and that was the October race at Keeneland. And it's the only 9 in the field. All right, so there you go. So I've got a horse that has a single digit. No other horse has a single digit. And I'm getting Pratt and Brown. All right. Now, the only thing that sticks out to me in a possible negative is the fact that when he ran his 2 best numbers, the 9 in October, he had 2 months off. Then when he ran the 11 last time out in February, he had over 2 months off. So here he's got 5 weeks, a month really with February's days. So really you got as short as a month that you're going to get. You got a month. And that's the only thing that I'd be concerned with. But I think I'm nitpicking there. So that's why I'm going to go with Saffron Moon. The other horse that I'm going to try to make money on is the 9, Eternal Silence, the 20-1 shot. Now, on the negative, I guess it's a negative, but because sometimes it's a positive, but he's been off since July. But what you like is in July of 23, he runs an 18. He comes back with a 14 the next month. Okay. Now, unfortunately, something happens and we don't see him again until the next July. And he runs a 13, which is pretty good to win the race after all that time off. But he was a favorite. He was a favorite in that race. And now we haven't seen him since July. So the last time he had all this time off, he actually came and he won the race. You are getting, and by the way, Rosario, as you can see, was the rider in that race. So I don't know what happened here. There are definite questions, but we do have some sheet numbers and in his races starting in 23. And if you take away the one race, which is the one in July of 23, the horse improved his numbers every race from a 21 all the way down to a 13 in July. So the horse just keeps getting better and better, but he's had a couple of issues. The good news is he comes back from those issues, or at least the last time he came back from the issue and did a good job. And he's 20-1. That's the ticket. That's the reason I'm doing it. All right. Now, let's just go through the rest of the board here for the bonus. The defending champ in the race is the 1, Sparkle Blue. He won this race with a 14. It was also the last time the horse has been at Tampa. Now, if you take a line through his last race in October, something happened in that race, okay, because we haven't seen him since then. He ran an 18. As you can see, he had nothing, 0. He was the 12th post position, and he never got better than 8th. So he did nothing. He took some time off. So the good news is that all of his numbers over the past year and a half have all been between 14 and 10. And I got a lot of 11s. So the numbers aren't bad considering. Again, we don't know the number for the favorite of the race, but a couple of the other ones, the 8, of course, does have a 9, but the 6, the best of 6s has is a 10. Sparkle Blue has ran at 10. All right. So it's not a bad idea. You're getting 8-1 with the defending champ, Sparkle Blue. The 2 has a couple of 12s over his last 3 races, but he's never run better than a 12. And those last 2 races, boy, those are pretty bad. Yeah, I don't see why anyone would want to take that horse. The 3 has not run anything faster than a 14. Scratch him. The 4, another Chad Brown horse. This is actually the first of his 3. You've got an upgrade with Gaffalione on board, as you could see there. He's had 2 months off. And what you like about this horse is he's gotten better up until, and this is the thing we'll get to, up until his last race. So from April of 23 through November of this past year, November, he goes 15, 15, 13, 12, 10. That's very strong. But then he goes backwards in February. He took a few months off, comes back in February, runs a 13. That was a grade 3 race. Hasn't actually fared all that well in the graded stakes races. But in Chad Brown, you get the upgrade with Gaffalione, and it's 6-1. So I was actually thinking about this one. I tell you what, if you can get 6-1 or better, then I might actually play this horse in my exacta, since I only have 2 horses anyway. But if it's lower than that, I wouldn't. Anyway, you got the numbers. That's the important thing. Victoria's Dancer, the 30-1 shot, hasn't had anything better than a 14. Spaladay. Now, this is another one of those top horses. In his last race, the win, the grade 2 win at Aqueduct in October, he ran a 10, and he did it at this distance. So at this distance he's running here on Saturday, same, and it was his best number of 10. Now, he does have an 11, and in his last 3 races are his best 3, 10, 12, 11. So that's pretty good. 2 wins out of 3. Not sure why he's taking a little time off, but I'm not going to really worry too much about that. The problem is it is a short price, and you got to, you can't take everybody. So I'm taking the 8 over the 6, and I'm just doing that because I do have a 9. I also have an 11 coming in. Spaladay has a 10, 11, 12. It's not much difference, but I'm going to go with the 8 over the 6 because I do have the better number. Yeah. And it's also Chad Brown, and the riders are very strong. But the other big difference is Spaladay has never raced at Tampa, and Saffron Moon is 2 for 2 at Tampa. So take whoever you want. You've got the numbers now, and it can go any way, no question. These are very equal horses, so I just gave you my reason of why I'm going with them, but you've got the numbers to work it out. And I think that's it. The only other one is Damaso. This is the one I said that's, I believe, the only horse in the field that historically wants to lead. You have a trainer that's having a nice meet. This is a horse that is basically a Tampa horse. Nobody has this much experience here than Damaso. But Damaso has like a 10 last June, an 11 in December, and that's it. Most of his races are 14s, 15s, and 16s, which is why you're getting 15-1. So there you go. Again, I'm gonna take the 8. I'm gonna take Saffron Moon, and I will play. I'll tell you what. I'm not gonna go with the 6 because the 6 doesn't pay anything, and he's not gonna pay anything. He's either gonna be 4-1 or bigger. But I'm going to throw in the 1 because he's 8-1. So I'm going to go 8 with the 9 and the 1. Those are 2. You got an 8-1 and a 20-1 shot. Because this look, nobody knows what's going to happen and Give Me Another. Maybe Give Me Another comes out there and blitzes the field, and we're like, damn, this horse is good. But he also could be like, oh, this is America. I didn't know that this was as tough it is. And maybe I should go back to South America or wherever he's from. What is this track? Turffontein? Turffontein. SAF. South Africa. Wow. This is really South Africa? I can't think of anything else SAF. Wow. That's a long way from here. All right. I guess he got some good drugs. So you see, that's got to be another thing. If this horse is really from South Africa, I don't know if he is. But wherever he's from, that's something to keep an eye on. But Graham Motion, he knows what he's doing. He's having a good meet, and the horse hasn't lost. But I just, he's 5-2. What do you, I don't know why anybody would want to bet that horse at 5-2, even though he could clearly win. I just think it's just it's the definition of the word gamble. That's a gamble, and I'd rather not gamble at 5-2 when I could, I believe, not gamble. at either taking the 8 or the 6. I'd rather do that. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up. Once again, let me go over the numbers. Race number 10 and race number 11 at Tampa Downs. Race number 10. This is Nitrogen. That's the winning horse for Jon Hardoon. Jon is going with the 9 Nitrogen. Nitrogen is coming off of 14 in his last race. He went 20, 14, 12, and then began 2025 with a 14. 5-2 morning line favorite. Nitrogen is Jon's top play. He's going to go underneath with the 5, the 2, and the 7. I'm taking the 6 Lush Lips. And Lush Lips is coming off of 14 in his last race. So same as Nitrogen, but he's never run a 12 like Nitrogen has. But hey, I'm getting 4-1. I'm getting double the money. And Brendan Walsh is 2-4-2 with Lush Lips. I got 2, 5, and 12 underneath. Then in race 11, we're both going with Owen Almighty. And like I said, when we were talking about the horse, if you look at that Sam F. Davis race, that was a really good race. The two really battling it out, John Hancock. Matter of fact, John Hancock was pretty impressive because it looked like Owen Almighty was going to win the race. And then John Hancock, it was one of those deals where it looked like it was going to be Owen Almighty. And then actually, it looked like it was going to be John Hancock, I believe. And then Owen Almighty took the lead. And then John Hancock came right back and said, no, not today, brother. And Owen Almighty gets John Hancock gets the win. Owen Almighty finishes in second, but runs a 9 anyway. So he's got back-to-back 9s. The other 3 races are 13, 13, and 12. So this horse has not run a bad number yet. And you're getting double the money than you are with Chancer McPatrick or Patch Adams. So John and I are going to go with the 1, Owen Almighty. And then we're pretty similar. John has 2, 3, 6, and I have 2, 4, 6. So that is going to do it for our show. I guess I'll say it for a third time. You can subscribe. We would really appreciate that. That is really important for us here to grow the show, to grow the channel, because we are going to start getting advertising dollars soon from YouTube, and that's going to be great. And there are going to be some opportunities and ways that you can sponsor the show. But until then, the best way to help the show out so we can continue to do this for free every week and bring you all this, I think, is great coverage. The only way for us to do that is we got to get our support from our viewers. It's one of those deals where until you get sponsorships from businesses or you get advertising dollars from YouTube, I think, of course, the best way to be supported is through the fans and the viewers, the listeners. I'd rather have that support than all the other. So up until then, since, of course, we're not making any just yet, but we will, the best way to support us is through subscribing. And you can also hit the like button. That is real important. You can share the video. You hit the share button. Anytime you want to share the video to any of your friends or family on Facebook or on your X account, you hit the share button and those options pop up. And you see your Facebook and you can just hit Facebook, boom, and video goes right to your Facebook page and you can just post it on your Facebook page. So that's also pretty cool for us because that means you're showing our show to a bigger audience and hopefully we'll get more traffic from that. And then let us know what you think. The comments, the questions, when you get the board rolling and people talk and they're having a good time in the comment section, all that stuff is also really important and it helps us. So anyway, we're out of here. Thanks to Jon Hardoon. And tomorrow we have one more day. This week, we actually have just a few more shows. Actually, we have our college basketball show tomorrow on Friday. Jim Feist and I are going to preview some more college basketball conference tournaments. We're going to preview a big weekend in college basketball. That's tomorrow night. And then Saturday, we have our qualifying show for NASCAR, our post-qualifying show. And we also have, I know Kevin Rogers is going to give his take on NASCAR. So he's going to have his report I think we'll see that tomorrow. So we still have several videos that we're going to post here on the channel. And I do post videos, and I'm going to continue to do that for my interviews over on the R-Lads YouTube channel. So if you're into the NFL, college football, the NFL draft, I have all these interviews I do for the R-Lads network. And then what I can do is I can take out some clips from the network and post it here on the channel in order to promote it for anybody who has never seen or heard of the R-Lads channel, so we can move some traffic over there. But we get the content, or I get the opportunity to show you a little bit of content here from those football interviews. And whenever I post those interviews here, it's always going to be informative. I'm always going to take out like 5 minutes of an hour interview that I think is really informative. So if you're into football, the NFL, college football, we'll be posting more of those videos as well real soon, especially with the NFL draft coming next month. So for Jon Hardoon, I'm Greg DePalma. Thanks for tuning in once again here for our thoroughbred coverage on Proline TV.